A unique lightsaber made for a specific rebel victory is best described as a project. Day-to-day energy provision to a planetary system is likely part of an operation in the Rebel Alliance. Progressive elaboration in mission planning is best exemplified by moving from general strategy to specific target plans. Developing new stealth technology based on intelligence reports is initiated due to organizational need. A mission within the Rebel Alliance is defined as a collection of operations with a common objective. Campaign strategists manage and make tactical decisions for missions within a campaign. Declining a new mission proposal due to resource constraints is an example of project portfolio management. Customizing tactics within a mission is known as tactic tailoring. A commander should use the most appropriate tactics from the Rebel Guide for each mission. The concept of temporary in-mission strategy does not relate to the mission team. A strategy analysis report is an example of a unique outcome from a mission. A mission charter is used for making a launch/no launch decision for a mission. Incremental strategy life cycle is the approach used in a mission aiding local insurgents with growing support. Economic considerations are not a characteristic of a mission's political and social context. Available starship models are not a consideration in the interstellar and political context of a cross-galaxy mission. Tactical planning is not considered an interpersonal skill necessary for rebel commanders. A covert operation is a mission that requires secrecy and disguise. A new commander like Aaron would most likely get mission strategy mentoring from veteran commanders. Supplying rebel outposts is an example of an ongoing operation within the Rebel Alliance. The term for dispersed project team members across various locations is enterprise environmental factors. Among options like employee capability, organizational culture, and templates, galactic infrastructure is not considered an enterprise environmental factor. Government regulations acting as constraints on a project are best described as external enterprise environmental factors. Helpful artifacts from past experiences that guide current projects are termed organizational process assets. If a stakeholder requests a significant change during a sprint, the Scrum Master should meet with the product owner to integrate the change into the product backlog. A project management office, PMO, that provides forms, templates, and advice is a supportive type of PMO. In a weak matrix organization, proceed with project work if disagreements with the functional manager don't affect key deliverables. In a scenario where project resources are shared, team members report to the project manager of each project they're a part of. An agile approach where one programmer writes the code and another reviews it for accuracy is known as extreme programming, XP. In a weak matrix organization, the functional manager has full authority over project funding decisions. In a controlling PMO, meeting with both positive and negative stakeholders is considered crucial for project success. In a culturally diverse virtual team, the experience of the project management team is not considered a cultural attribute of the organization. A project management plan defines how the project manager will use the project management system. In a weak matrix structure, the functional manager has full authority over project funding. What plan should guide the creation of detailed battle tactics in a Galactic Republic starship fleet? Answer: the tactical maneuver blueprint. What is not required to define the scope for exploring uncharted planets in a Rebel Alliance mission? Answer: a risk assessment plan. How long will a mission to establish a new settlement on an uninhabited planet take based on the calculated stardates? Answer: 32 stardates. What is the smallest component in a repair plan for fixing a hyperspace lane? Answer: a task module. What planning approach allows for undefined aspects in an exploration plan for a new star system? Answer: rolling wave planning. What is the term for the hierarchical numbering system in a mission plan? Answer: code of commands. What two components form the mission baseline? Answer: the mission strategy document and the operation structure. What does successful scope validation result in? Answer: formal acceptance of the completed mission. How is the operation scope validated in an agile mission? Answer: mission review briefing. What is the term for unauthorized changes that expand a mission's scope? Answer: scope creep. What process controls how the mission scope can be altered? Answer: the integrated change control process. What doesn't need to be updated when a mission scope change has been authorized? Answer: the repair assessment report. What is the term for an independently added change that improves a mission and is supported by experts? Answer: value added change. What is an output of controlling the mission scope? Answer: change request for a corrective action. What does a change in mission scope due to a rival faction's activities exemplify? Answer: a change due to an external event. What should be considered when a change request affects enlisted specialized units? Answer: the agreement terms. What does a mission scope statement define? Answer: the mission goals and associated tasks. What is the importance of the mission scope statement in leadership? Answer: it helps determine if a change is within mission boundaries. What do mission specifications by a renowned strategist represent? Answer: mission parameters. What is primarily controlled in battle strategy development? Answer: changes to the battle plan. Using a portion of a previous project's battle strategy in a current mission is called a holocron template. The best analogy for a rolling wave planning approach in deploying hyperspace navigation software is detailing the upcoming asteroid fields and outlining the distant nebula routes. A force storm graph should be created to show the balance of force potential across planets, the number of missions, and the velocity of the Jedi Council. Unknown regions outside the mission scope will not be included in the waypoints identified during galaxy exploration route planning. Skill proficiency validation is not typically considered a task attribute in RAI's mission task list. Agile missions produce results more quickly than traditional missions because they follow an adaptive path. The relationship between the hyperspace jump activity and the planetary survey activity is best described as jump to land start. The intergalactic expedition will last 15 parsecs based on the critical route on the star chart. If route B is delayed by 2 days, the mission will also be delayed by 2 days. The critical route in HAN's hyperspace routes is hyperpath ASIG. The hierarchical numbering approach used in the Rebel Alliance's mission plan is called the Code of Commands. The hierarchical numbering system in the Rebel Alliance's mission plan for attacking the Death Star is the Star Navigation System. The path that must be completed in the shortest time to retrieve the Death Star plans is called the critical path. The Rebel Alliance uses analogous estimating to estimate the mission duration based on a similar past mission. The estimated duration of specific activities is 35 units based on the triangular estimate formula. The time between the completion of one activity and the start of another in the Rebel Alliance's mission planning is called Jedi lag time. The sequence of tasks determining the earliest possible completion date for freeing captured rebels is called the critical path. Managing changes to the Rebel Alliance's mission plan, including the schedule, is called integrated change control. Managing unexpected changes to the Rebel Alliance's mission schedule is also called integrated change control. Analogous estimating in the Star Wars universe involves learning from past battles to predict future costs and outcomes. For precise technology project estimation in the Star Wars universe, Wookiees detailed craftsmanship, bottom-up estimating, is the best approach. In the Star Wars universe, the cost change control system is similar to the Galactic Senate's approval process for adjusting budgets. In a Star Wars Starship project that's 30% complete, the earned value is calculated as 75,000 credits. While bottom-up estimating offers enhanced accuracy in Rebel Alliance planning, it is not an efficient and economical approach. The opportunity cost of choosing Project LB over Project WQQ in the Star Wars universe is 12,000 credits. In adaptive projects in the Star Wars universe, lower valued features might be removed from the mission due to budget constraints. Renting equipment for the entire duration of a Star Wars construction project is considered a fixed hyperdrive cost. In a Star Wars project where spending is 270,000 credits and the completion rate is 40%, the CPI, Credits Performance Index, is calculated to be 0.89. In the Star Wars universe, definitive cost estimates are not practical in adaptive projects due to their dynamic nature. In a scenario where only one vendor can provide a specialized chemical, the market condition is known as a sole source. Among cost estimating inputs, team member recollections are the least reliable for estimating project costs. When calculating the cost of pea gravel based on its rate per metric ton, a parametric cost estimating approach is used. For an adaptive software development project with no prior experience, a commercial database is used to predict labor costs. Team members that the project will utilize are not typically included in a new project's cost estimate. Given a mistake that cost $34,000, Lila should tell her sponsor that an additional $192,500 will likely be needed to complete the construction project. In a project with a budget of $750,000 that ran 15% over budget, the earned value would be $637,500. In the same $750,000 project that went 15% over budget, The variance at completion is $112,500. Marty, who has a cost variance of $44,000 in his software development project, needs to complete an exceptions report to address the budget deviation. The $10,000 allocated for training the project team on new construction material is considered the cost of quality. Quality chapter questions. Sarah failed to create a minimum viable product, leading to 76% of clients finding her grocery shopping app too complex. Sally should first assess her team's readiness for Agile adoption before joining the Rebel Alliance of Agile. Mike's first step in adopting Agile practices in his horticultural project is to analyze the benefits of doing so. Peter should adopt an Agile mindset focused on adaptability for his 7-year tech quest. Leah should prioritize team members' interactions over tools to address leadership issues in her Agile team. Matthew should not consider a detailed plan from the Jedi Council when choosing a pilot project for Agile adoption. Preston forgot to address the personal side of change when introducing Agile concepts to his crew. As a servant leader, you should not compromise to please all sides but facilitate understanding between R&D and your Agile team. Leonardo should assign tasks to guide the novice team until they become skilled in Agile methodologies. Kevin should seek mentorship from an experienced Agile coach to align with his role as a product owner. Peter should review the project charter to re-establish the original vision of his project. Max should remove obstacles to empower his team while keeping their Agile structure intact. Lindsay should encourage team members to work in pairs to promote active knowledge sharing. Co-locating the Starship crew is the best way to enable osmotic communication. Adam should prioritize stories based on expected monetary value and business value. The Jedi Sprint Review is the Scrum ceremony that allows a team to demonstrate its progress to stakeholders at the end of each sprint. Skylark Inc. should navigate with short iterations and adapt as they go, which aligns with Agile principles, especially when the scope is undefined. Code testing is not considered a waste in Lean principles. It is a crucial aspect of quality assurance. If a stakeholder finds a missing requirement during a sprint review, it's likely that the product backlog wasn't up to date. Max's team follows an Agile Scrum methodology, as evidenced by their daily stand-up meetings focusing on progress and removing obstacles. Brittany is using the Agile Kanban approach for her IT project, as indicated by the Kanban board with stages like backlog, in progress, testing, and done. Chewbacca proposes a just-in-time supply delivery approach to handle limited storage space. The need for a skilled lightsaber craftsman is an example of force-sensitive staffing. The situation where a skilled mechanic is needed but not available within the Jedi team indicates a Jedi staffing alignment issue. In the decentralized Rebel Alliance, authority for the mission would likely reside with faction commanders. The Alliance Council serves as a project stakeholder, being involved in decision-making and approvals. The planning for the new droid upgrade project can be expedited by applying the project plan from a similar past project, the R2-D2 modification project. Close supervision of starfighter pilots is an example of Theory X, which assumes workers require close management. Only one individual can be designated as accountable in a SWCI chart. Implementing both collaborative and individual workspaces suits engineers' need for focus in an Agile environment. Rey being chosen to lead a mission due to her positive traits illustrates the halo effect. Jedi mediation and collaboration is the most appropriate conflict resolution technique for the Galaxy Restoration Project. Ahsoka Tano's influence during a strategy discussion represents the concept of yielding to authority. In the Rebellion's Liberation Project, personal conflicts among members are likely not a top concern. Kenobi's Theory Z advocates for worker involvement in decision-making. Akbar's motivation strategy involves the use of rewards and recognition to maintain team morale. The lightsaber production project's operational schedule would be specified in the lightsaber calendar. Pilot availability for the Rebel Squadron project can be found in the pilot's schedule. When there's disagreement over a decision by the senior engineer, it's best to seek counsel from the Resistance leadership. Opting for the strategy suggested by a more experienced team member in a time-critical mission represents Sith power assertion. In the Jedi Order, a project leader's role is best described as that of a Jedi Master. Physical distance between team members serves as an example of communication noise in Project Freedom. The Communications Management Plan outlines how and to whom project information will be disseminated for the Jedi Temple Restoration Project. In adaptive projects, stakeholder communication needs can be identified from lessons learned in similar past projects. With 32 stakeholders in the Rebel Starship project, there are 496 possible communication channels. Adding 3 new team members to a project with 19 stakeholders results in 60 additional communication channels. Agile projects should use low-tech, high-touch tools over complex project management software. Demands for formal reports can act as communication constraints in a project. Holograms are not standard for presenting project performance information. Paralingual describes the pitch and tone in force-sensitive communication. A cost variance of $3,500 outside acceptable thresholds requires an exception report. Stakeholders receiving holographic messages during a presentation act as noise or distractions. Daily council meetings should be scheduled at consistent intervals, not as soon as possible. In a Jedi training project, Master Yoda is most likely to communicate directly with Padawans. Lessons learned identification occurs throughout the entire project life cycle. The project team should complete lessons learned documentation to improve future project performance. Next week, with 20 team members, there will be 190 channels of communication. Lightsaber combat schedule is generally not included in performance reporting. The process of sending information using holographic technology is called transmitting. George considers the relationship with Padawans important due to the Force's guidance. Effective communication in the Rebel Squadron's mission is indicated by the transmission of a secret Rebel Alliance code. The Jedi Order should accept a project risk if it is in balance with potential benefits.
In this video, I'm going to be going over some
Francis
terms
will use
that
Jedi Council meetings to forge the risk management plan. Substituting a thicker plastic in a project represents a risk threshold. Another term for an organization's risk tolerance is the utility function. Additional risk planning is needed when there are scope changes in a predictive project. The risk register is a log of initial risk identification entries. Examples of pure risks include fire, theft, or injury with no chance for gain. A project risk is a potential occurrence that can affect the project for good or bad. Risk identification should occur throughout the project life cycle. In a long-term project, risk identification should be ongoing. Breaking down the project scope is a suitable tool for risk identification. Anonymously polling experts for foreseeable risks is a technique for risk identification. Qualitative analysis is used for ranking risks based on impact and probability. The expected monetary value, EMV, for risk event 3 is $135. The required amount for the contingency fund is $117,150. Outsourcing a task due to high risks is called transference of force. An 80% mark on a pressure gauge represents a predefined threshold for action. With 60% certainty, risk event 6 has a probability of 0.60, a cost of $7,000, and an EMV of $4,200. The Monte Carlo technique is suited for exploring various risk scenarios in project management. The most effective tool for mitigating pure risks in the Alderaan construction project is a well-crafted contract. For the 89A project, a cost-plus incentive fee contract is best for encouraging timely completion and penalizing delays. In the FTG software project, the project scope statement is crucial for defining contracted work that aligns with customer requirements. When a vendor identifies issues affecting cost and schedule, the contract change control system should guide the agreement update process. In a multi-tiered contract structure, the master agreement is the appropriate section for documenting issue and claim resolution procedures. In the MVB project, a unilateral form of contract recommended by the accounting department refers to a purchase order. A primary purpose of contracts in the Hobson Company's Agile project is to fairly distribute risk and reward between buyer and seller. In the context of project management, privity refers to the relationship between the project manager and a known vendor. From Sammy's perspective in the DSA project, a fixed-price contract is the least risky for the buyer. For the risk-averse warehouse remodeling project, a lump sum contract places the responsibility for cost overruns on the seller. In the PLP project, the contractor's pricing model of $120 per hour plus materials is an example of a time and materials contract. For the JHG project, the project scope statement serves as the basis for the procurement statement of work, so. For a Galaxy accounting system project, it becomes cost-effective to write your own code rather than hire a vendor after approximately 6 months. Henry's letter of intent to the ABN contracting company indicates he intends to buy from them. Martha, as a project manager, should issue an invitation for bid, IFB, if she wants vendors to provide a single comprehensive price for all detailed work. The project manager's primary responsibility in creating procurement documents is to ensure the receipt of complete proposals from vendors. In the SRQ City Network project, the event of selecting vendors occurs during the executing process group. In emergency situations requiring immediate work from a vendor, a letter contract is the appropriate type of contract. When there's a significant amount of remaining budget and the buyer requests additional work, the project manager should negotiate a change in the contract to take on the additional work. A sudden tornado severely damaging a construction site is considered a force majeure event. The risk management plan is not required when identifying stakeholders for the Rebel Alliance project. The correct sequence for evaluating potential allies in the Galactic Health Initiative involves identifying and documenting ally information, prioritizing and classifying allies, and planning for ally management. A power/influence grid should be created to showcase stakeholders' authority over mission decisions considering their political standing. Influence is not part of the three characteristics mapped in a Rebel salience model. The Rebel Register captures stakeholder contact details, assessments, and classifications for a revolutionary technology project. Scott is an unaware stakeholder in the ARB mission for liberation, as he lacks knowledge of the mission's impact. Mary is a resistant stakeholder in the rebellion's new adaptive strategy because she opposes the project. Henry is a leading stakeholder in the HQL project for the Rebel Alliance as he actively contributes to the project's success. Sammy is creating a Rebel engagement matrix to depict current and desired levels of stakeholder engagement in the KHG project. The Project Rebel Engagement Plan guides efforts to understand and manage stakeholder relationships in the Alliance initiative. Negotiation and diplomacy are beneficial for managing relationships with planetary leaders. Influence is considered a management skill for effectively leading your Rebel team and allies. Transmission log updates are not part of the process of managing stakeholder engagement. Requirement errors or omissions typically arise during stakeholder engagement. A profile analysis session gathers insights from various Rebel commanders about their roles, interests, concerns, influence, and attitudes. A demonstration for Rebel Council members showcases the latest advancements through interactive communication. A secure platform allowing Rebel leaders to access mission data exemplifies pull communication. Push communication is best illustrated by a Rebel newsletter sent to all troops. Next week, 1,711 additional communication channels will be established when 29 new allies join the existing 45. Jedi training manuals are not needed for identifying allies in the Rebel project. Leia should identify and document potential ally information, prioritize and classify allies, and plan for alliance management. A force/presence matrix gauges the strength of allies based on their commitment and influence. Urgency is not one of the attributes in Han's loyalty model. An alliance register captures essential details about allies and helps in managing them. In Lando's Cloud City project, Chewbacca is an uninformed ally. Leia is a discontented ally who expresses skepticism but hopes for the mission's success. Luke is a leading ally actively participating in planning and communicating. Obi-Wan is creating an ally engagement assessment matrix to understand and improve engagement levels. The mission ally engagement plan outlines how to coordinate and engage with allies. The Alliance log ensures transparency and effective communication with allies. Diplomacy is important for managing allies. Influence is crucial for engaging allies effectively. Collaboration requests are not an output of the process of managing ally engagement. Monitoring ally engagement most likely results in corrective actions to align with mission goals. A profile assessment meeting is held to understand the interests, concerns, influence, and roles of various allies. The best plan for coordinating communication and stakeholder relationships in the Rebel Alliance is the Project Rebel Engagement Plan. In stakeholder engagement, the change log serves as an input because it communicates updates and changes to Rebel stakeholders. Diplomatic negotiation is the key interpersonal skill necessary for effective stakeholder management in the Rebel Alliance. Influence is considered a management skill crucial for engaging and persuading stakeholders in the Rebel Alliance. Transmission log updates are not an output of the Rebel Alliance's stakeholder engagement process, instead, items like communication requests and plan updates are. Change requests related to stakeholder engagement typically address requirement errors or omissions. When Ned hosts a meeting to analyze allies' roles and attitudes, he is conducting a profile analysis session. The demonstration arranged for the Rebel Council is an example of interactive communication where information flows among all participants. A secure platform allowing Rebel commanders to pull project data represents pull communication. A Rebel newsletter, which is disseminated to stakeholders, exemplifies push communication. With 29 new allies joining, the Rebel mission will have 1,711 additional communication channels, calculated using the formula N1/2. In managing relationships with planetary leaders, negotiation and diplomacy are essential interpersonal skills. Jedi training manuals are not relevant for the identification of allies in a Rebel project, while items like Rebel ship blueprints, alliance agreements, and rebellion manifestos are. The correct steps for assessing potential allies, as practiced by Leia and the Rebel leaders, involve identifying and documenting ally information, prioritizing and classifying them, and planning for alliance management. To assess the influence of allies over mission decisions, a force/presence matrix should be created, which considers an ally's commitment to the rebellion and their galactic standing. In Han's loyalty model for allies, urgency is not one of the attributes considered, rather, it focuses on power, legitimacy, and influence. The document capturing key information about allies in a crucial Rebel mission, such as contact details and commitment levels, is called an alliance register. In the Cloud City project, Chewbacca is an uninformed ally, meaning he lacks information about the project's advancements. Leia qualifies as a discontented ally, as she expresses skepticism about the mission but still hopes for its success. Luke is considered a leading ally due to his active participation in planning, communicating, and offering expertise for the mission. Obi-Wan creates an ally engagement assessment matrix to illustrate both the current and desired levels of engagement among allies for the Jedi Temple Restoration Project. To analyze connections and interactions among allies for better coordination, one should refer to the Mission Ally Engagement Plan. The Alliance Log is essential for managing ally engagement as it communicates updates and changes regarding various aspects of the mission to the allies. Diplomacy is the key interpersonal skill for managing allies. Influence is essential for leadership in ally engagement. Collaboration requests are not an output of ally engagement management. Monitoring ally engagement most likely results in corrective actions. Anakin is hosting a profile analysis session to understand allies' roles and concerns. The mission progress demonstration involves interactive communication. Allies can pull information as needed from the secure system. A newsletter sent to allies exemplifies push communication. Adding 29 new allies will create 1,711 more communication channels. Sarah likely failed to deliver a minimum viable product, leading to client concerns about the app's complexity. Sally should first assess her Starship crew's readiness for agile methods before making the transition. Mike, dealing with high turnover, should review past projects to inform his shift to a hybrid agile approach. Peter should adopt a future-oriented mindset to navigate uncertainties in his long-term tech mission. Leia should prioritize team interactions over rigid processes to empower her R&D team effectively. Matthew should avoid making a detailed battle plan as it contradicts the agile philosophy of adaptability. Preston's proposal was likely rejected because he didn't choose an appropriately sized battle to introduce agile concepts. As a Jedi Master of a Scrum team, you shouldn't compromise with both sides as it goes against the principles of understanding and alignment. Leonardo should train and guide the Padawans until they become proficient in agile, balancing guidance and empowerment. Kevin should seek mentorship from a Jedi Master serving as a product owner to excel in his business analyst role. Peter should show the team a holocron containing the mission's charter to realign them with the original mission objectives. The best approach to address the Padawans' need for more guidance would be to assign specific missions and roles. Lindsay should encourage developers to collaborate to foster knowledge sharing in the Agile team. Having a co-located squadron would best facilitate osmotic communication within the Rebel Alliance. Adam should prioritize tasks based on their expected galactic or strategic value for Agile backlog prioritization. At the end of each mission phase, the event is similar to an Alliance briefing, which is akin to a sprint review in Agile terminology. Skylarking should begin with promising approaches and learn iteratively, aligning with Agile principles. In a lean approach, code testing is not considered waste, whereas the other options involve wasteful activities. The stakeholder was likely unsatisfied with the fifth mission because the tasks were not prioritized. Max, a Jedi apprentice, should describe his team's project approach as dynamic and adaptive to capture its agile nature. Luke Skywalker should include Jedi training in each sprint, as his team is new to Scrum, much like John should incorporate coaching for his inexperienced agile team. Leia Organa should use a resource calendar to ensure sufficient manpower and ships for the Rebel fleet, similar to a construction project using a resource calendar to maintain a minimum number of workers. Yoda should explain the agile nature of the Jedi training program to Senator Palpatine, educating him on how Agile methodologies work, akin to Sally educating her stakeholders. Obi-Wan Kenobi should focus on disturbances in the Force when planning for potential problems, similar to Michaela focusing on triggers and signals in an Agile project. Qui-Gon Jinn should use midi-chlorian and risk charts to keep the Jedi Council updated about the mission to Naboo, similar to using velocity and risk burn-down charts in Agile projects. Force sensitivity and combat readiness charts are the best way to keep the Jedi Council informed of Padawan progress because they provide continual, easily shareable metrics. Improving the efficiency of the Death Star's laser during an internal meeting with Imperial officers is an example of efficiency augmentation. Luke Skywalker should ignore individuals on Tatooine who are disinterested in the rebellion because they have low influence and interest. Leia directs a supporter who wants to add new features to X-Wings to Admiral Akbar because Akbar can better evaluate the value of these features. Obi-Wan Kenobi should directly address a senator's concerns about not being kept informed on his delayed intelligence mission. Han Solo should consult with General Lando Calrissian when Chewbacca bypasses team protocols to complain directly to the general. Quincy, a Rebel Alliance communications officer, should ask for feedback to make his messages to rebel cells more effective. Xavier should keep Mon Mothma, who has low official power but high influence, informed with regular updates. Marlene should group rebel cells by similar needs to manage them more effectively. John should perform a cost-benefit analysis to decide which rebel operations to pursue. Paul should regularly review the mission charter with key stakeholders to ensure the Agile Rebel mission stays aligned with its original goals. Incremental development, not iterative, is best for early, usable deliveries because it produces a functional part of the project in each phase. Rey's top priority as a Jedi Master should be ensuring galactic satisfaction by delivering valuable solutions early and consistently, as this aligns with Agile principles. For a distributed Jedi team, arranging initial in-person gatherings is crucial for fostering effective communication, given the Jedi emphasis on face-to-face interactions. In prioritizing mission backlog items, Han Solo should consider their expected galactic credits or Rebel Alliance value, aligning with Agile practices for prioritization. Leia should adjust her mission plan's workload to account for a significant intergalactic celebration, maintaining a balanced approach to work and festivities. To estimate a budget for updating the Millennium Falcon's navigation systems, Lando Calrissian should review records of previous updates, in line with Agile practices for using historical data. Yoda and his team should define task completion criteria as definition of Jedi mastery, reflecting their pursuit of excellence. The maximum number of communication channels within a squadron of 12 team members is 45, calculated using the formula n(1)/2. Anakin's team should use velocity as an empirical measure for planning and not as a performance evaluation metric, consistent with Agile principles. Padme's team should include both successful strategies and areas for improvement in their lessons learned documentation, allowing for a more comprehensive growth and learning opportunity. Incremental development is better suited for early, functional lightsaber upgrades, according to Agile principles. As a Jedi Master, Rey should prioritize delivering valuable solutions to the galaxy, reflecting Agile's focus on customer value. For effective communication in distributed Jedi teams, initial in-person gatherings are crucial, aligning with Agile's emphasis on face-to-face interactions. Han Solo's Rebel Alliance mission should prioritize stories based on their expected value, in line with Agile backlog management. Leia should adjust the mission's workload to accommodate a 3-day intergalactic celebration, adhering to Agile's adaptability. Lando Calrissian should consult historical records for accurate budget estimates for the Millennium Falcon update, consistent with Agile's use of past data. Yoda's team uses the term definition of Jedi mastery to clearly define task completion, mirroring Agile's definition of done. The squadron has a maximum of 45 communication channels, calculated using the formula 1/2 n(1)/2. In Anakin's team, velocity is an empirical measure used for future planning, not for evaluating team performance. Padme's team should include both successes and failures in their lessons learned documentation, to align with Agile's learning-oriented approach. With 12 team members, the maximum number of communication channels in your Star Wars-themed squadron is 45, calculated using the formula 1/2 n(1)/2. Anakin's starfighter team uses velocity as an empirical measure for planning future tasks, not for evaluating the team's performance, aligning with Agile methodologies. Padme's team should include both successful strategies and areas for improvement in their lessons learned documentation to adhere to Agile's principle of continuous improvement. In a mission to restore balance to the galaxy using Agile principles, risk events are foreseen disruptions that can be planned for, while issues are unforeseen problems that disrupt the project's harmony. As the Scrum Master in the Rebel Alliance, you guide the team to communicate with an ally about an unexpected request, emphasizing the importance of preserving the integrity of the ongoing sprint. In an intergalactic Agile project, the product owner holds the authority to accept or decline changes to the backlog's priorities, serving as the guardian of project needs. During a Rebellion sprint to develop Starship enhancements, the product owner has the authority to introduce new features mid-sprint, provided they align with the sprint goal. When a droid upgrade faces resistance during the review, the best course of action is to collaborate with the product owner to refine the feature, adhering to Agile principles of stakeholder collaboration. To enhance governance and productivity in transitioning to Agile methods, the use of information radiators akin to Jedi holocrons helps to visualize progress and bottlenecks effectively. When a crew member falls ill, jeopardizing the sprint's commitment, the best course of action is to encourage the team to deliver what they can, aligning with Agile principles of flexibility and continuous delivery. In a mid-sprint challenge where a team member faces a complex obstacle, rallying fellow team members for collective problem-solving reflects both Agile and Jedi values of teamwork and harmony. When informed that a project has become non-viable due to changing circumstances, the best approach is to collaborate with the team to realign the backlog, mirroring Jedi flexibility and adaptability. If deliverables require post-deployment rework, confer with the project's product owner to find a solution, which aligns with Agile's emphasis on transparency and collective problem-solving. In risk management, the principle of repetition yields mastery underscores the strength of iterative risk assessments, paralleling Jedi training principles of repetitive skill enhancement. In Agile, the responsibility for updating the risk-adjusted prioritized product backlog rests with the product owner, in line with maintaining focus on the project's vision and objectives. When concerns arise about evolving work methods and collaboration, fostering unity through team consensus aligns with the Jedi ideals of adaptation and mission focus. For low-value tasks in the product backlog, sharing concerns with the product owner fosters transparent dialogue, aiding task prioritization in line with the principles of collaboration and shared vision. For a minor, low-impact risk, acknowledging its presence while focusing on the mission reflects a balanced Jedi perspective on potential challenges. In the context of secondary risks arising from the response to primary risks, recognizing them as related risks aligns with the Jedi understanding of the ripple effects of their actions. To ensure tasks are completed within a specific sprint, collaborating with the team to reshape the backlog resonates with Jedi principles of adaptability and collective power. Being attuned to triggers allows an Agile Jedi to anticipate and proactively address challenges, aligning with their skill to sense disturbances before they escalate. Following the Jedi philosophy of balance, an ideal Scrum team size is between 3 to 9 members to maintain effective communication, coordination, and collaboration. Transferring a risk beyond the team's capacity to an external party mirrors the Jedi strategy of relying on distant allies for challenges beyond their expertise. Instead of inflating project costs, it's best to create an accurate estimate and supplement it with a risk assessment to address the customer's budget concerns ethically. When faced with a project leader proposing a team of family members in a foreign country, understanding the country's hiring traditions is crucial before making decisions. In international projects, company policies and procedures serve as the best guide for what business practices are acceptable, rather than relying solely on general codes of ethics or project-specific documents. When a team member commits theft for personal reasons, it's important to guide them to report their actions to human resources for an appropriate resolution. In a functional organization where the project manager has lesser authority, completing activities as requested by the functional manager is the appropriate course of action, even amidst disagreements. Failure to cooperate with the PMI on an ethics investigation concerning a false claim violates the Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. Communicate with a vendor about labor issues before taking any drastic actions. Directly ask the vendor who provided a significantly higher cost estimate to clarify their calculations before proceeding. Be honest in weekly status reports about being 1 week behind, but also state planned corrective actions to get back on schedule. Report the project's early completion status to the customer rather than inflating costs or scope to match the original budget. Decline additional involvement in installation after fulfilling your project scope as a Jedi Master of Design Placement. Stick to the initially agreed upon project scope even if the stakeholders demand extra adjustments after completion. Encourage team members to voluntarily contribute to overtime work during a festive period to balance project needs and personal commitments. Accepting tasks outside the original scope without approval is a deviation from the project manager's professional duty. Politely decline a valuable artifact gifted by a client, adhering to organizational guidelines on accepting gifts. Approach higher Jedi authorities with a recommended solution to reassign a team member who is acting against the mission's success. Consider the ethical implications of favoritism when the project leader assigns family members to lucrative roles on the project. Uphold the balance of the force in project management by fulfilling the project requirements. Recognize the disorientation from adapting to local customs and practices on a distant planet as culture shock. Collaborate with the mission team to devise alternative solutions when faced with a technical anomaly halting the project's progress.